Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So we are continuing with chapter 87. This is personification, glorification by Vedas, right? Personified glorification by Vedas. Yeah. So Vedas are glorifying Krishna, and mm, uh, let's continue. Last time around, Vedas told that we cannot understand Krishna through arguments. And yes, Hare Krishna. Let's continue. The devotees engaged in the direction of spiritual master. The devotees engaged by the direction of a spiritual master in the transcendental loving service of the Lord contemplates as follows: My dear Lord, you are the reservoir of pleasure. Since you are present, what is the use of the transient pleasure derived from the society, friendship, and love? Persons unaware of the supreme reservoir of pleasure falsely engage in deriving pleasure from sense gratification. But what is the transient? But this is transient and illusionary. So Vedas are saying that the pleasure comes only from you, and there is no pleasure that is coming from anywhere else. And even if it is coming, that is transient, that is temporary and illusionary. Yes. Uh, this is what Vedas are saying that devotees do. So devotees have this quality. In this connection, Vidyapati, a great Vaishnava devotee and poet, says, My dear Lord, undoubtedly there is some pleasure in the midst of society, friendship, and love. Although it is materially conceived, but such pleasure cannot satisfy my heart, which is like a desert. In a desert, there is a need for ocean of water, but if only a drop of water is poured into the desert, what is the use of such a value? What is the value of such a water? Similarly, our material hearts are full of multi desires, which cannot be fulfilled by materialistic society, friendship, and love. When our hearts begin to derive pleasure from the supreme reservoir of pleasure, then we can be satisfied. That is transcendental satisfaction. That transcendental satisfaction is possible only in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The personified Vedas continued. Dear Lord, you are Satchit Anand Vigraha, the ever blissful form of knowledge, and because of the living entities are parts and parcel of your personality, their nature, state, and existence is to be fully conscious of you. In this material world, anyone who has developed such Krishna consciousness is no longer interested in materialistic way of life. This is what we have been telling in Srimad Bhagavatam class, right? If you develop love for Godhead, if you are completely doing a spiritual work, even when you are in this material world, you are not material. You can stay in this material world and do spiritual work. You can stay in a spiritual world that ways, right? Uh, you may appear to be someone in material world, but you may be of a spiritual world. This would happen when you are doing a spiritual work, right? This is something like uh, uh, suppose there is a Indian embassy, right? Indian embassy in US. They may be in US, but they are working for Indian government. They are Indian representative. So even when they are in US, they are Indian. They are not US. But when they would start saying, no, 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 I am in US, now I want to work for US company. Now I want to work for US government. I do not have allegiance. Uh, we have to talk about this word quite a lot in Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, we did not. So still, my allegiance is not towards Indian government now. My allegiance is towards US government. Then even when they are in embassy, even when they are in Indian embassy, they would be working for US government. This happens with this one secret agents which are sent in foreign worlds, right? So that's the way we have to live. We may be living in this material world, but we are living for a spiritual world, and we should be living of a spiritual world, right? Part of a spiritual world, part of Sanatan, this one, Sanatan Loka, right? And therefore we are Sanatani. Yes, a Krishna, where did we stop? Yeah, a Krishna consciousness being becomes uninterested in family life where there is some concession for sense enjoyment, right? So what is the best way out? Uh, use your senses for Krishna. Why do you have to run out of your prescribed duty? Use your senses for Krishna. Simple. Whatever you're doing, you have to perfect yourself. And getting your perfection is very, very simple. You have to engage everything for Krishna. Again, for that embassy. Even when they are living in US, they would be buying US product. But why they would be buying? Their objective is just to serve Indian government. Right? So, but if they choose to be of US, if they want to be of US origin, and if they would be working for US government there, then they do not belong to Indian government, right? When we would be working for this material world, we would be fixated in this material world now. We are bound. There's a word in Hindi, baddh, right? We are bound, we are tied by this material world. So this is our choice whether we work for material world or spiritual world. In other words, he is no longer interested in sense gratification. The perfection of human life is based upon knowledge and renunciation, but it is very difficult to attempt to reach to such a state of knowledge and renunciation while in the family life. Krishna conscious person, therefore, take shelter of the association of devotees or sanctified places of pilgrimage. Such persons are aware of relationship between the super soul and the individual living entities, and they are never in the bodily concept of life because they carry out they they always carry you in full Krishna consciousness within their hearts. They are so purified that at any place they go becomes holy places of pilgrimage. Now, this is about devotees, pure devotees. Wherever they go, it becomes a place of pilgrimage. Yeah. And water which washes their feet is able to deliver many sinful persons loitering within this material world. When Prahlad Maharaj was asked by his atheistic father to describe something very good which he has learned, he replied to his father, for a materialistic person who is always full of anxieties due to being engaged in the temporary and relative truths, the best course is to give up the uh, blind well of family life and go to the forest and take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Those who are actually pure devotees are celebrated as Mahatma or great sages, personalities perfect in knowledge. They always think of Supreme Lord and his holy feet, his lotus feet, and thus they automatically become liberated. Devotees who are always situated in that position becomes electrified by the inconceivable potencies of the Lord, and thus they themselves become the source of liberation for the followers and devotees. Because pure devotees speak nothing but words of God, words of Krishna. Yes. Hmm. Just a minute. Actually, I was looking for RU. This becomes very long. Okay. Krishna consciousness. A Krishna conscious person is fully electrified spiritually, and therefore, anyone who touches and takes shelter of such a pure devotee becomes similarly electrified with spiritual potencies. Such devotees are never puffed up with material opulences. Generally, the material opulence are good parentage, education, beauty, and riches. Just a minute. Again. Sorry. Hare Krishna. Hmm. Generally, the material opulence are good parentage of education, beauty, and riches. Actually, opulence of Krishna. But although a devotee of the Lord may possess all four of these material opulences, never carried away by the pride of possessing such distinction. Great devotees of the Lord travel all over the world from one place of pilgrimage to another, and on their way they meet many conditioned souls and deliver them by their association and distribution of transcendental knowledge. They generally reside in the places of Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka, Jagannath Puri, and Navadvip because only devotees assemble in such places. In this way, they give saintly association to one another and thus advance so that every living entity can take advantage of the association of Krishna conscious persons. And such great devotees open temples and ashramas when Krishna's devotees assemble. By such association, people can develop more and more. People can develop more and more in Krishna consciousness. Such advancement is not possible in ordinary household life, which is devoid of Krishna consciousness. The personified Vedas continue, dear Lord, there are two classes of transcendentalist, the impersonalist and the personalist. The opinion of the impersonalist is that material manifestation is false and only the absolute truth is factual. The view of the personalist is, however, the material world, although very temporary, is uh, nevertheless not false but factual. Such transcendentalists have different arguments to establish the validity of their philosophies. Factually, the material world is simultaneously both truth and untruth. It is truth because everything is expansion of supreme absolute truth, and untruth because the existence of the material world is temporary. It is created and it is annihilated because of the different. Yes. Yes. Because of its different conditions of existence, the cosmic manifestation has no fixed position. Those who advocate acceptance of the material world as false are generally known as maxim by the maxim Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithyam. Uh, they put forward the argument that everything in this material world is prepared from matter. For example, there are many things made of clay, such as earthen pot, dishes, bowls. After the annihilation, these things may be transformed into many other material object. But in all cases, their existence as clay continues. An earthen pot, water jug, after being broken, may be transformed into bowl or dish. But either the dish, bowl, or water jug, but either as a dish, bowl, or water jug, the earth itself continues to exist. Therefore, the forms of the water jug, bowl, or dish are false, but their existence as earth is real. It is impersonalist version. This cosmic manifestation is certainly produced from the absolute truth, but because its existence is temporary, it is false. The impersonalist understanding is that absolute truth, which is always present, is the only truth. In the opinion of other transcendentalists, however, this material world being produced of absolute truth is also truth. Yes, because it is coming from Krishna. The impersonalists argue that that this fallacious because okay, the impersonalists argue that this fallacious because it is sometimes found that the matter is produced from a spirit soul, and sometimes that a spirit soul is produced from matter. Such philosophers push forth the argument that although cow dung is a dead matter, sometimes it is found that scorpions come out of cow dung. Similarly, dead matter like nails and hair come out of the living body. Therefore, things produced of certain thing are not always of the same quality as that thing. On the strength of this matter, Mayavadi philosophers try to establish that although this cosmic manifestation is certainly an emanation from the absolute truth, the cosmic manifestation does not necessarily have to have truth in it. According to this view, absolute truth, Brahman, should therefore be accepted as truth. Whereas the cosmic manifestation, although a product of absolute truth, cannot be taken as truth. Okay. I know it might be confusing, so it's okay. It's not that much required. Look, we just need to know one thing. Uh, we need to establish a personal connection with Krishna. Krishna has personal appearance, and we need nothing. I mean, people go for truth, people go for salvation, people go for end of problem, people go for happiness. We need nothing. If you go for happiness, you may go for temporary happiness. If you go for salvation, you may go for moksha. Right? We want nothing. We want nothing. We want Krishna. Right? What comes with Krishna, we would know thereafter. Remember how Dhruv Maharaj worshipped Krishna. You may worship Krishna for very different reasons. Although we should not be doing falprad. We should not be praying to Krishna to get some material benefits. Right? So we should not be praying Krishna for that reason. But whatever may be the reason, once you know Krishna, once Dhruv Maharaj came to know who Krishna is, he did not have any other expectation except being with Krishna, except serving Krishna, except working for Krishna. Please try and understand why get deviated from here to there to there to there. Pure devotees always exhibit such qualities which we need to understand and which we need to follow. So we just need to do one very simple thing. We need to serve Krishna, develop love for him, just that. Be with him, nothing else. Whatever may happen, let him decide. Why think so much? Right? In fact, we should not be interested in so many philosophers, so many philosophies as well. Actually, this is real truth. Once you are surrendered, look, until you are surrendered, you should know each and every truth. Because you are using your analytical mind to surrender. But once you have surrendered, you should keep your analytical mind aside. Please understand, we cannot understand about Krishna in full through our mind, through our brain. Why use our brain? Why use our brain? brain is fallible, a mind is fallible, right? So similarly, when you do not understand about such philosophies at times, you should just let it be. Okay, most of the time we should know about these philosophies only to preach. I do not need it, but if someone else needs it, I would tell. I do not need anything about Krishna to convince me uh, of his existence, of his love for us. I do not need anything, but if anyone else needs it, I should have something in my hand to prove it, right? So that's the attitude of a devotee. Uh, mm. Okay, continuing. Anyone wants to read?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna. The view of the Mayavadi philosophers, however, is stated in the Bhagavad Gita to be the view of the asuras or demons. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Asatyam apratishtam te jagad ahur anishwaram, or aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kama hetukam. The Asura's view of this cosmic manifestation is that the whole creation is false. The Asuras think that the mere interaction of matter is the source of the creation and that there is no controller or God. But this actually is not the fact. From the seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the five gross elements earth, water, fire, air, and sky, plus the subtle elements mind, intelligence, and false ego, are the eight separated energies of the Supreme Lord. Beyond this, beyond this inferior, material energy is a spiritual energy known as the living entities. The living entities are accepted as the superior energy of the Lord. The whole cosmic manifestation is a combination of the inferior and superior energies, and the source of the energies is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has many different types of energies. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. The transcendental energies of the Lord are variegated. And because such varieties of energies have emanated from the Supreme Lord, they cannot be false. The Lord is ever existing, and the energies are ever existing. Some of the energy is temporary, sometimes manifested and sometimes unmanifested. But this does not mean that it is false. The example may be given that when a person is angry, he does things which are different from his normal condition of life. But the fact that the mood of anger appears and disappears does not mean that the energy of anger is false. Therefore, the argument of the Mayavadi philosophers that this world is false is not accepted by the Vaishnava philosophers. The Lord Himself confirms that the view that there is no supreme cause of this material manifestation, that there is no God, and that everything is only the creation of the interaction of matter is a view of the Asuras. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, you may continue as much as you.
The Mayavadi philosophers sometimes put forward the argument of the snake and the rope. In the dark of evening, a curled up rope is sometimes, due to ignorance, taken for a snake. But mistaking the rope for a snake does not mean that the rope or the snake is false, and therefore, this example, used by the Mayavadis to illustrate the falsity of the material world, is not valid. When a thing is taken as fact but actually has no existence at all, it is called false. But if something is mistaken for something else that exists, that does not mean it's false. The Vaishnava philosophers use a very appropriate example, comparing this material world to an earthen pot. When we see an earthen pot, it does not at once appear and turn into something else. It may be temporary, but the earthen pot is taken into use for bringing water, and we continue to see it as an earthen pot. Therefore, although the earthen pot is temporary and different from the original earth, we cannot say that it is false. We should therefore conclude that the earthen pot and the entire earth are both truths because one is the product of the other. We understand from the Bhagavad Gita that after the dissolution of this cosmic manifestation, the material energy enters into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is ever existing with his varied energies. Because the material creation is an emanation from him, we cannot say that this cosmic manifestation is a product of something void. Krishna is not void. Whenever we speak of Krishna, he is present with his form, qualities, name, entourage, and paraphernalia. Therefore, Krishna is not impersonal. The original cause of everything is neither void nor impersonal, but is the Supreme Person. Demons may say that this material creation is Anishwara without a controller or God, but such arguments ultimately cannot stand. The example given by the Mayavadi philosophers that inanimate matter like nails and hair come from the living body is not a very sound argument. Nails and hair are undoubtedly inanimate, but they come not from the animate living being but from the inanimate material body. Similarly, the argument that the scorpion comes from cow dung, meaning that a living entity comes from matter, is also unsound. The scorpion which comes out of the cow dung is certainly a living entity, but the living entity does not come out of the cow dung. Only the living entity's material body or the body of scorpion comes out of the cow dung. The sparks of the living entities, as we understand from the Bhagavad Gita, are injected into material nature and then they come out. The body of the living entity in different forms is supplied by material nature, but the living entity himself is supplied by the Supreme Lord. The father and mother give the body necessary for the living entity under certain conditions. The living entity transmigrates from one body to another according to his different desires, which in the subtle form of intelligence, mind, and false ego accompany him from body to body. By superior arrangement, a living entity is put into the womb of a certain type of material body, and then he develops a similar body. Therefore, the spirit soul is not produced from matter, it takes on a particular type of body under superior arrangement. According to our present experience, this material world is a combination of matter and spirit. The spirit is moving the matter. The spirit soul, the living entity, and matter are different energies of the Supreme Lord. And since both the energies are products of the Supreme Eternal or the Supreme Truth, they are factual, not false. Because the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme, he exists eternally. Therefore, for him, there cannot be any question of birth or death. So called birth and death occurs because of the material body. The Vedic version Sarvam Khala Idam Brahma means that since both the energies have emanated from the Supreme Brahman, everything we experience is non different from Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Meera. And let's continue. There are many arguments about the existence of the material world, but the Vaishnava philosophical conclusion is the best. The example of the earthen pot is very suitable. The form of the earthen pot may be temporary, but it has a specific purpose. The purpose of the earthen pot is to carry water from one place to another. Similarly, this material body is, although temporary, has a special use. A living entity is given a chance from the beginning of the creation to evolve different kinds of material bodies according to the reserve uh, desires he has accumulated from time immemorial. Now, I was looking for this. This is deep desire I was talking about. You remember happy session and we talked about deep desires? Yes. So this is the deep desire we were talking about. I was looking for something. There must be some mention. Uh, so this is the mention. The living entity is given a chance from the beginning of the creation to evolve different kinds of material bodies according to the reserved desires. Yeah. You have desires, you are given a body, you are given some enjoyments, you get those enjoyment, get out of the dirt, and again get into that process of developing love for Godhead, develop love for Godhead, and go back home, back to Godhead. In this regard, a Facebook post which has been posted 2 3 days ago, I believe, is very significant. No, no, no. It was not Facebook post. No, no, it was RU update. It be coming. It would be coming in a few days from now. Yeah. So yes, Let me read that post. That is a wonderful post. It has been finalized last night only. Yeah. Okay, let me read. Now, this is His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada saying from Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.45. And what is the goal of life? Back home, back to Godhead. You are going this side, the opposite side, opposite direction to hell. This is not your destination. You go this side, back to God. That is our propaganda. Uh, so, that is what we have to do. We all are biased, right? People find it fancy to call that I am unbiased. How anyone can be unbiased? You are going through some beliefs. You are going through some expectation. Without expectation, no one can survive, right? You are going through some expectation. Now, what is that expectation? That is belief. That is desires that you have developed, right? Uh, Now there are desires which we have developed from time immemorial, from last birth, from last to last birth, right? So Krishna provides. You have desires, take this. But after taking this, come out of that desire. Like suppose you want to have ice cream, right? Um, when we have ice cream, we have desires. Yes, ice cream, right? But just after getting ice cream, it is expected that you come out of that desire. You do not again say more ice cream, more ice cream, more ice cream. You may be given more ice cream, but after given more ice cream, you should come out of that desire. Now, what we are doing, more ice cream, more ice cream. Even after getting so much of material world, we want more and more and more of it, even when it is painful. Does ice cream make us any good? No. No, it does not make us any good. It is what? Please try and understand. It is what? Milk and sugar and some flavoring. Flavoring does not make us any good. Milk and sugar, you can always have milk and sugar. Why do you want a flavored milk and sugar? Why do you want it frosted? Right? You may have desires for that. So if you have desires, take that and come out of that desire rather than being indulged in that desire. That is what is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Shane Shane. You have to slowly and slowly come out of each and every desires that you have developed. What we are doing is completely opposite. In material world, whatever advancement we talk about, whatever development we talk about, we get into that phase of indulging more and more desires, more desires, more desires. Actually, that is very detrimental. If you have more desires, how would you be able to come out of it? The objective is not to have desires. The objective is to come out of that desires. We fail to understand this as a society. Yeah. And till the point we fail to understand, we would not be uh, able to develop love for God. Never. Because our objective is desire. Our objective is not Krishna. Once your objective is not Krishna, why would you be developing love for God? No. Right? So the human form of body is a special chance. Exactly. The human form of body is a special chance in which it is in special chance in which the developed form of consciousness can be utilized. Now, developing this love for Godhead, developing this love for Krishna, uh, this cannot happen when you have different some other body, because you do not have the consciousness to understand that Krishna loves us. You do not have understand. You do not have consciousness to understand what is the purpose of life. Why we are all struggling here? We do not have consciousness at that stage. So what we are given is this material body, human form of body, to make us understand. Unless we understand, we are wasting this body. Sometimes the Mayavadi philosophers push forward the argument that this material world is truth. If this material world is truth, why are householder advised to give up the connection with this material world and take sannyasa? But the Vaishnava philosophers view the sannyasa is not that because of the world is false, one must therefore give up material activities. The purpose of Vaishnava sannyasa is to utilize things as they are intended to be utilized. We should utilize our senses for Krishna, right? We should utilize our mind for Krishna. So we should utilize things as they are intended to be utilized. Srila Rup Goswami has given transcendentalist two formulas for dealing with the material body. When a Vaishnava renounces the materialistic way of life and takes up sannyasa, it is not a conception of falsity of material world, but it is to devote himself fully, engaged everything in the service of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore gives this formula. One should be unattached. Yes. Let me mark this one. Yes. One should be unattached to the material world because material attachment is meaningless. The entire world is entire world, the entire material world, the entire cosmic manifestation belongs to God, Krishna. Therefore, everything should be utilized for Krishna, and devotee should remain unattached to materialistic things. Mm. This is the purpose of a Vaishnava sannyasa. A materialistic sticks to the world for sense gratification, but a Vaishnava sannyasi, although not accepting anything for his personal sense gratification, knows that the art of utilizing everything for the service of the Lord. Srila Rup Goswami has therefore criticized the Mayavadi sannyasis as with his second formula. Uh, okay. So many beautiful points are there. I mean, this is like it does not look like 1 hour class. It looks like we have been reading for days and months now. uh, Okay, because the Mayavadis do not know that everything has a utilization for the service of the Lord. They take the world to be false, and falsely they are liberated from the contamination. Falsely they think they are liberated. Falsely think that they are liberated from the contamination of the material world. Yeah. Okay, someone not fixed in correct knowledge, they would be going for the wrong knowledge, right? There's a very simple quote that I would often say: if you do not accept the truth, you want to accept fake. So those who do not want to accept the truth that we have to utilize each and everything for Krishna, they falsely think. Yeah? So since everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Lord, the expansions are as real as the Supreme Lord is. That the cosmic world is only temporarily manifested does not mean that it is false and that the source of its manifestation is false. Since the source of the manifestation is truth, the manifestation is also truth, but one must know how to utilize it. The example of the earthen pot may be cited again. The earthen pot produced from the whole earth is temporary, but when used for the proper purpose, the earthen pot is not false. The Vaishnava philosophers know how to utilize the temporary construction of the material world just as a sane man knows how to utilize the temporary construction of the earthen pot. When the earthen pot is used for wrong purpose, that is false. Hmm. You can think of jewelry as well. Yeah. Jewelry, if used for you would develop ego. I mean, if look, three purpose. Jewelry, if used for basic etiquettes, basic etiquettes. Then it is used as a, although a jewelry cannot be considered, but it is used as a requirement, right? Because everyone wants it, so I am having it. So this is kind of a requirement. Hmm. So first purpose is requirement. Second, two sides of it. First is requirement, and there are two sides of it. When utilized for your own sense gratification, how beautiful would I be looking if I wear this jewelry, right? Then it is used for sense gratification, your own sense gratification, a wrong purpose. But again, the same jewelry, if used for Krishna, it is to attract everyone to Krishna. It is the proper use of jewelry. Similarly, we can understand through earthen pot and everything. A devotee knows how we can devotee everything for Krishna. Similarly, the human body or the materialistic material body, when used for sense gratification, is false. But if the human body and the material creation are used for the service of the Supreme Lord, their activities are never false. It is therefore confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that even slightly using the body and material world for the service of the Lord can deliver a person from gravest danger. When properly utilized, neither the superior or inferior energies emanate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead are false. Uh, so people say Maya. Maya means false. Actually, Maya means illusionary energy. Yeah, it is illusionary energy, but it is real. Yeah, it creates a false impression. When you see water, no, water you can directly connect with Krishna. Uh, yeah. Let's say, when you see this mobile, uh, when you see this mobile, it might be considered as a false representation uh, of energy which is distributed in this material world. Now, tell me one thing. Those who would be calling that, no, this is not a false representation, this is a real representation. Tell me one thing. This mobile is there. Cannot it be developed into something even bigger? The same glass which is used in this mobile. Suppose this is a let's say 10,000 rupee mobile, right? Can the same attributes be used to make a 60,000 rupee mobile? We are using money to understand the impact, right? Can the same material be used to make 1 lakh rupee mobile? I'm just saying. So if properly utilized, the resource may be used for a higher purpose. This is a temporary usage which has been made, and we can always upgrade this to a higher purpose. What is the highest purpose? So everything you are seeing is real. This is not fake. This is not fake. This is real. But can it be used for a higher purpose? The answer is yes. A devotee knows how to use it for a higher purpose. Now, we were talking about money. Think of this as spiritual and material. Can this mobile be used to spread love for Godhead? That is the higher purpose. Can this mobile be used for a terrorist attack? That is the worst purpose. Right? The same energy is there, and it can be utilized for the right purpose also. As the fruitative activities are concerned, as far as fruitative activities are concerned, they are mainly based on the platform of sense gratification. Therefore, an advanced Krishna conscious person does not take to them The result of fruitive activities can elevate one to a higher planetary system, but as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, foolish persons, after exhausting the result of their pious activities in the heavenly kingdom, come back again to the lower planetary system and then again try to go to the higher planetary system. This only profit is to their only profit is to uh, trouble of going and coming back. Just as at present many material scientists, something wrong, material scientists are spoiling their time by trying to go to the moon planet and coming back again. So what is happening? We are wasting our time, right? Now we are wandering from one place to another. Just imagine you are wandering from one city to another city to another city to another. uh, just wandering, just trying to find something. That is what we are saying. You are going for from let's say utilizing your time. uh, let's talk in terms of money. What we are doing, we are trying to utilize 1 day of ours. Right now we are getting, let's say, 500 rupees. So we are just seeking, how can I get 600? Thereafter, how can I get 700? How can I get 800? Foolish. You can get 1 crore. 1 crore per day. You're not understanding. This is all material. 500, 600, 700, 800. Howsoever you would struggle in this zone. Krishna gives you 1 crore. Spiritual is no comparable to material well-being, right? So this is all we are trying to seek love in this material world, which is what a perverted reflection of Krishna's love. This is just an illusion, very small quantity, and we are seeking. Can I get love from you? Can I get love from you? Can I get love from you? What is this? Even if you get, that is an illusionary. It is there. Love is there. But it is illusionary. It is not real. Yes. Okay. Continue. The only profit is to take the trouble to going and coming back, just as the just at present many material scientists are spoiling their time by trying to go to the moon planet and coming back. Those who are engaged in the fruitive activities are described by the Vedas personified as Andha Parampara, the blind followers of the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. Although such ceremonies are certainly mentioned in Vedas, they are not meant for the intelligent class of men. Men who are too much attached to the material enjoyment are captivated by the prospect of being elevated to the higher planetary system, and so they take to such ritualistic activities. But persons who are intelligent, who have taken shelter of the bona fide spiritual master to see things as they are, do not take to fruitive activities, but engage themselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Persons who are not devotees take to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies for materialistic reason, and then they are bewildered. A vivid example may be given. An intelligent person possessing $1 million in currency notes does not hold the money without using it. Even though he knows perfectly well that the currency notes in themselves are nothing but paper. But when one has $1 million in currency notes, he is actually holding only a huge bunch of papers. But if utilizes it for purpose, then he benefits. Similarly, although the material world may be false, just like the paper, it is it has its proper beneficial utilization. Because the currency note, all the paper are issued by the government, they have full value. Similarly, the material world may be false or temporary, but because it is it is an emanation from the Supreme Lord. It has full value. The Vaishnava philosophers acknowledge the full value of this material world and know how to utilize it properly. When the Mayavadi philosophers fail to do so, just as those who mistake a currency note for ordinary paper, discard it, and cannot utilize the money. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore declares that if one rejects the material world as false, not considering the importance of the material world as a means uh, to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such renunciation has very little value. A person's look, the philosophy is very simple. The goal is very simple. Whatever you get, utilize it for Krishna. You have money, utilize it. You have talent, utilize it. You have time, utilize it. You have intelligence, utilize it. Whatever you have, utilize it for Krishna. Once you say, I do not want time, I do not want money, I do not want intelligence, I do not want this, I do not want that, that is not perfect renunciation. That is of little value. A person who knows the intrinsic value of the materialistic world for the service of this material world for the service of the Lord, who is not attached to the material world and who renounces the material world by not accepting it for sense gratification, is situated in real renunciation. This material world is an expansion of the material energy of the Lord. Therefore, it is real, it is not false, and sometimes concluded from the example of the snake and the rope. The personified Vedas continued. The cosmic manifestation, because of the flickering nature of the impermanent existence, appears to less intelligent men to be false. The Mayavadi philosophers take advantage of the flickering nature of this cosmic manifestation to try to prove their thesis that this world is false. According to the Vedic version, because of before the creation of this world has no existence, and after dissolution, the world will no longer be manifested. The voidists also take advantage of this Vedic version and conclude that the cause of this material world is void. But the Vedic conjunction do not say that this is void. The Vedic conjunction define the source of creation and dissolution as yatova imani bhutani jayante. He from whom the cosmic manifestation has emanated, and in whom after annihilation everything would will merge. The same is explained in Vedanta Sutra in the first verse of first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam by uh, the words Janmade Asaya Yata. He from whom all things emanate. All these Vedic injunctions indicate that the cosmic manifestation is due to the supreme absolute personality of Godhead, and that when it is dissolved, it merges into Him. The same principle is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The cosmic manifestation comes into existence and again dissolves, and after dissolution, it merges into the existence of the Supreme Lord. The statement definitely confirms that the particular energy known as Bahir Angya, Maya, or the external energy, uh, uh, although of flickering nature, is the energy of the Supreme Lord, and as such, it cannot be false. It simply appears false. Yeah, uh, Maya appears false. The Mayavadi philosophers conclude that because the material nature has no existence in the beginning and is not non-existence after the dissolution, it is false. But by the example of the earthen pot and dishes and the Vedic uh, version, it is presented. Although the existence of a particular byproduct of the supreme, absolute truth is temporary, the energy of the Supreme Lord is permanent. The earthen pot or water jug may not be broken or transformed into another shape, such as that of dish or bowl. But the ingredient or the material basis, namely the earth, continues to be same. The basic principle of the cosmic manifestation is always the same. Brahman or the absolute truth. Therefore, Mayavadi philosophers' theory that it is false is certainly only a mental concoction, mental speculation. Remember how we talked about mental speculation and it does not let us do bhakti? That is the cosmic manifest that the cosmic manifestation is flickering and temporary does not mean that it is false. The definition of the falsity is that uh, which never has had any existence but which exist only in name. For instance, the eggs of a horse or the horn of a rabbit or the flower in the sky are phenomenal which exists only in name. There's no horse's eggs, there's no rabbit's horn, and there's no flowers growing in the sky. There are many things which exist in the name of imagination but actually have no factual manifestation. Such things may be called false. But Vaishnavas cannot take this material world to be false because of the temporary nature. It's material, it's manifesting and again dissolving. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So that is where we would stop chapter 87. I don't know how many classes would we take. So many pages are there in chapter 87. Yeah, it's so many pages. I think maybe two more classes, maybe three. Let's see. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining, and let's do Vaishnava Pranam Mantra. Uh, yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च
kripa sindhubhya eva cha
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की,
जय
हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस शिला प्रभुपाद की,
जय
भगवद गीता की,
जय
श्रीमद् भागवतम की,
जय
सभी भक्तों की।
जय
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्ण हरे हरे,
हरे हरे
हरे राम
हरे
राम
राम
राम हरे
राम
हरे,
हरे हरे हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
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 हरे हरे,
हरे
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 राम राम राम
राम
हरे हरे,
हरे हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण
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 हरे
हरे
हरे,
हरे
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 राम राम हरे हरे,
हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Many thanks for everyone to join in. If you want, we can talk. If you want, we may have any kind of discussion or anything that you are, any problem, suffering, challenges, anything that you are going through. Yeah. Should we stop the live stream? Not let the talk part go in public. Yeah. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.